So creatine, is it a trend? Is it hype? Or what's the deal? This one Reddit user asks. It is great to see you back for another episode of my Q&A series where I take some of the trending Reddit questions in the last 24 hours and I answer them, give you some context, some personal opinions, some professional takes, and maybe some of it is useful to you, you relate to it, and you can start applying it right away. So we're going to dive right into today's questions. I've got 3 pre-selected questions, and the first one says, so creatine, is it a trend? Is it hype? Or what's the deal? Fitness 40 plus. I've been hearing more about this lately, as there's been some newer 2025 promising evidence-based studies on brain health benefits, which I love. Be trend or worth investing in. I'm a 40-year-old female, I'm 5'4", petite stature, and goals are to trim and build muscle. The brain benefits, I'm all for too. I'm currently training 3 to 5 times a week. I enjoy a protein and fiber forwarded diet. I like the wording, forwarded diet. I like that. Anyone personally experienced noticeable benefit adding this to their day would love to hear all about it. 40-year-old female, hello and welcome to Creatine 101. I think personally, every single one of us should be taking creatine 5 to 10 grams every single day. The newer studies where she references on brain cognitive function have been coming out, and there's about 10 grams of creatine, and higher doses are amazing. I really love that research. However, creatine has been one of the most clinically researched and studied supplements out there for decades now. So there is no reason why you should not be taking it. It is not hype. It is not a trend. It is something here to stay. We naturally take in creatine from red meat, but a lot of us don't consume enough red meat to produce it. So it helps saturate and fill the muscle that you have. Dive too much into the science and bore you with it. But I think personally and professionally, I recommend everyone should be taking at least 5 grams of creatine every single day. The time of day doesn't matter too much. Some might argue that you can take it pre-training to help you absorb more water weight, which might potentially give you a better session. The differences are so negligible. I don't think there's actual enough scientific data to support that. So maybe it's more anecdotal. I like to take my 5 grams around mid-morning after my first meal, just because it's in a routine. I've got it set up in my kitchen. I'll have my breakfast, my cup of coffee, and then I'll have my creatine with my water or orange juice, because creatine is a bit grainy and it can get stuck in your teeth if you just raw dog it with water. But I think everyone should be doing it. I think everyone should be taking creatine. It's a great supplement. That's basically my advice. How did I gain weight while in a deficit? This Reddit user asks. Hi, I've been in a slight deficit at 250 calories for 2 weeks. I've honestly been hungry and I'm tired most days, but thought I was getting better. I've tracked calories on the app, including the oil, and I've managed to stay most days within my goal of 1,850 calories a day. I had a feeling that I underestimated my BMR, so today I stepped on a scale and I see that I've gained 2 kilos, but I've been heavier. This doesn't add up because I ate less than usual. All right, user, let's get into this. This is a very interesting question. Now, the first problem with this question is there's zero context about you. We don't know how tall you are, we don't know your weight, activity levels, and we don't know where you're starting. A big red flag to me, because anyone giving you advice in the comments will not know anything about you. So the advice is irrelevant to you. I like to browse the comments sometimes when it comes to these questions to try and get a bit of context, to see if someone's asked the person any information about the context and activity levels. I have some data. So you're 167 and you're 61 kilos. I do pretty intense working out, climbing and ice skating 1 to 2 ice a week, but I'm not very active overall. I mean, sure, climbing is pretty intense. Ice skating, I wouldn't say it's necessarily heavily caloric expenditure. And of course, there's someone in the comments that's saying, hey, I believe you might have a low thyroid. And then the person is saying, I think I agree. It's not your thyroid. The answer is human error. It's human error. So if we take your stats and we go to my website at coachlucas.info and we enter your stats into the calorie calculator. Now, I don't know how many steps you're doing, so I'm just doing my quiz here to find out how many calories you'll need. Now, you say you're doing a bit of ice skating and bouldering, so I'm going to put you as someone who is lightly active. I'll tell you the first thing though. For someone at 167, 1800 calories is not a deficit. 1850 calories is not a deficit. 167 centimeters and 61 kilos. 1850 calories is not a deficit unless you are a well-trained, defined female who's been active for many years and built a significant amount of muscle. 1850 calories is probably your surplus, and you're probably gaining weight, which explains why you're gaining weight. So according to my calorie calculator, your deficit calories for weight loss should be around 1500 to 1600 calories, which is what I guesstimated on the top of my head. 1850 calories, which if I look at my calorie calculator here, 1800 calories is more or less your maintenance calories or potentially surplus calories based on your activity levels. So you're 167 centimeters, you're 61 kilograms, and you're eating 1,850. Now, let's assume there's no human error. Let's assume you are correct and it's no more calories. Let's assume that the steps are off and the activity is off on tracking apps, because most people will leave the activity and tracking activity on, which will let the app add extra calories, which is not what you want to do. Eating 1850 will make you gain weight, which explains why you've gained 2 kilograms. So you do not have a low thyroid, you don't have thyroid issues, you're not eating wrong, you're just eating in a maintenance / surplus calorie levels. What you should do, and it is normal to feel hungry when you start tracking your calories. It is normal to feel a bit tired when you start tracking your calories, because you have to think about stuff. You have to systemize your nutrition. It's a new routine you have to build. You should probably start at something around 16 to 1700 calories. Track that for a little while, mild deficit, see what happens. Up your activity, probably walk a little bit more and avoid human error. That is my professional opinion on why you have been gaining weight on a calorie deficit. Why is weight loss so hard to maintain even after trying everything? This one Reddit user asked. Hi everyone, I've been trying to lose weight for a while now. I've tried and a bit of exercise, but I can't stay consistent and results don't last long. That's your answer. Recently, I started looking into a more natural and simple approach instead of complicated plans for strict routines. Has anyone here found something that actually works long term? So this question is pretty vague. There's not a lot of context. There's no descriptions. There's nothing in the comments that specifically says your information, which is, again, very, very important. Contextual information gives us data that we can say, hey, here's a specific answer for you and your problems. But I'll take the general approach and I'll get a bit of information. I'll give you a bit of context about it. First red flag that I see in the statement in the context here is, you say you've tried dieting and you've tried a bit of exercise. The results don't last long because you struggle to stay consistent. That is literally the problem right there. You do not need a long-term solution that is less complicated or less strict, because it's complicated and it is not that strict. You need to eat less and move more consistently. Like I mean more than 2 weeks, more than 3 months. Try 6 months consistently. Eat a bit less, move a little bit more for 3 months or 6 months. And then keep going. That's how results work. It's like the snowball effect. You drop a small snowflake down a hill and it snowballs into something bigger. It accumulates over time. It doesn't just go from a snowflake to a giant snowball. It needs time. It needs consistency. So if you're someone who's struggling to lose weight and keep the weight off, especially after trying everything, as you say, but you can't stick to it because the results come back because you're not consistent, fix that problem first. It'll create less resistance between you and your goal. If you're here and your goal is here, and you've got all this resistance around it, from family distractions to work events to all these things that cause you to be inconsistent, cut those down, remove those, so your path from here to here is no longer like this, but it's A to B. That's how you get results. That's it. That's it for today's episode. If you enjoyed it, leave a like and a comment. It's always appreciated. Consider subscribing. I'm really trying to get 100 subscribers. That's it. I'll catch you in the next one.